In May 1969, just weeks before humans would take their first step on the moon, 3 astronauts flew a mission that was never meant to land. Apollo 10, the dress rehearsal for the legendary Apollo 11, carried its crew to the very edge of history and into a mystery that NASA kept buried for decades. As the spacecraft orbited the far side of the moon, completely cut off from Earth, something unexpected pierced the silence. A strange, high-pitched whistling that filled the astronauts' headsets. It lasted not for seconds, but for nearly an hour. The moon, silent and lifeless, suddenly wasn't so quiet after all. What caused the sound? Was it a glitch? Or something far more chilling? This is the story NASA didn't want you to hear. This is the mystery of Apollo 10. Before Neil Armstrong took his giant leap, Apollo 10 did everything except land. Its job was to test the entire mission profile, entering lunar orbit, detaching the lunar module, descending to just 9 miles above the surface, then docking again in space. The crew? Veterans. John Young stayed in the command module, while Tom Stafford and Gene Cernan piloted the lunar module named Snoopy. Their descent brought them closer to the moon's surface than anyone had ever been, so close they could see the exact spot where Apollo 11 would later touch down. But what happened behind the moon caught them off guard. On the far side, radio contact with Earth is impossible. No signals get through. For 45 minutes each orbit, the spacecraft was completely alone. No mission control. No updates. Just the astronauts. And the quiet vacuum of space. Or so they thought. On May 22nd, as Snoopy skimmed low over the moon's craters, the crew heard it, a sound faint at first, then rising. A musical whistling, eerie and unfamiliar, unlike anything they'd heard before. "Boy, that sure is weird music," Cernan said, puzzled. Stafford agreed. The signal was there. The radios were off. There was no interference from Earth. Yet the sound continued. The astronauts didn't panic, but they were confused. They ran diagnostics, checked systems, and found nothing unusual. "Nobody will believe us," Young radioed once they reconnected. And so they didn't tell NASA. Not right away. Why? Because in the world of spaceflight, reporting something unexplained could risk your career. It might make you look unreliable, unstable, or worse, unfit to fly again. So the audio was stored, archived, sealed away. For nearly 40 years, the recordings remained classified, hidden deep within NASA's vaults. And then, quietly, in 2008, the truth resurfaced. Thousands of hours of Apollo audio were declassified, and buried within them was the forgotten whistling from Apollo 10. At first, no one noticed. Then a few curious researchers found it. In 2016, the Science Channel released a documentary spotlighting the eerie sound, asking a bold question. Was this proof of alien life on the moon? The internet exploded. Theories spiraled. Malfunctioning systems, Soviet jammers, even extraterrestrial broadcasts. But the truth, as NASA later explained, was far more grounded. It wasn't alien. It wasn't even sound in space. The whistling was a byproduct of radio feedback between the command module and the lunar module, specifically their VHF radios, which were still active even when out of contact with Earth. The unique geometry of the spacecraft and the vacuum of space created the perfect conditions for that high-pitched tone. A simple technical artifact, made unforgettable by context. Still, for millions of viewers and space fans, the mystery lingers. Because sometimes, the scariest part of space isn't what you can explain, it's what you hear when no one is supposed to be listening. Apollo 10 didn't make headlines like Apollo 11, but it gave us something just as powerful, a reminder that the unknown still exists. That space, even when mapped and measured, still holds secrets. That one strange sound, long buried in a forgotten archive, can capture the imagination of a planet. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real reason NASA kept it quiet.